Welcome to our annual Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame induction banquet. I see a lot of familiar faces. I've met a few new faces as well, but I think a round of applause is necessary for everybody who's supporting the Western heritage, supporting the history of the Ellensburg Rodeo. So for that, thank you very much. So my name is John Goodat. I'm a proud supporter of the Ellensburg Rodeo and everything that goes along with it. Sometimes I'm wearing my top hands hat. Sometimes I'm wearing a Kittitas High School or CW ball cap. But today I'm wearing my felt hat with my Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame name badge, and I wear it proudly because this is a heck of an event. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. I don't want to say a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's an effort that is a year-round thing on what we can do to honor our inductees, what we can do to honor the Ellensburg Rodeo history, what we can do to honor the Western way of life in the Kittitas Valley. Other things that I kind of wanted to talk about, whether it's buckles won, money made, cattle supplied, or something else that's hard to quantify. We're here to celebrate three pretty incredible inductees here tonight. So join me in welcoming here in the front table, we have four-time buckle winner Charles Pogue, and his wonderful wife Londa is here with us tonight. We've got five-time buckle winner Dave Brock, who's also here with his better half, Denny. And I'm going to say this entire section of the arena is our Eaton family, the stock contractors here that have made the Kittitas Valley their home for 4 generations. So we have quite a few who's who here tonight, as we always do. I see a few board of directors. I'm not quite sure where he's sitting here, but I want to say hello to Ellensburg Rodeo President Carl Jensvold. At the same table is Top Hands President Scott Serralo. He's here tonight. And he definitely doesn't want the spotlight on him, and that makes me want to shine it on him even more. Our Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame President, Mr. Kent Lester. Give us a wave, Kent. And Kent and the rest of the Hall of Fame board will agree with me. This is a labor of love. This is a lot of team effort, a lot of volunteer effort, but this doesn't happen tonight without our banquet committee chairperson, Miss Donna Hunyon. Come on, Donna. There you go, there you go. I also want to recognize 2 great ladies who are wonderful ambassadors for rodeo in the entire Kittitas County. We have Cle Elum Roundup Queen Jenna Woodside is here tonight. And also, an incredible lady. She's been all over the West. She's even been out of the country, I believe, promoting Ellensburg, promoting Kittitas Valley, promoting our rodeo. Our 2024 Ellensburg Rodeo Queen, Rebecca Mundell. So dinner is ready. Look at those ladies. The Kittitas County Cattlewomen are providing dinner for us once again. I've been hungry. I've been looking forward to this for a few months now, ladies, so thank you very much. You never disappoint. Before we get to dinner, if you can join me in a moment of thanks and prayer. Lord, I want to thank you for not only tonight, but to tell you how thankful we are for the fact that you've been with us every day of our lives, whether it's in the arena, a barn, or a truck somewhere getting to another rodeo. Speaking of that, we thank you for safe roads on our way to visit family. We thank you for blessing us with talents gifted by you. And of course, we thank you for the bounty we're about to share in fellowship tonight. Lord, I ask you that you keep our inductees and their friends and family safe. Know that our laughs and maybe our misty eyes from tonight's stories and memories are our way of celebrating what you have made happen. And Lord, we say this with praise in your name. Amen. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here because of the inductees, and I think they should be able to eat a little bit before us tonight. So, Queen Rebecca, can you escort our inductees here, the Eaton family and their friends, Charles and Dave and their wonderful better halves? We can head on over to the cattle women to be served, and then I will excuse everybody by table. I want to remind everybody one more time, you've heard me say it a few times, but if you haven't already filled out your bidding sheet for the dessert dash, we're going to be picking up those sheets here pretty much right now, momentarily. So if you haven't filled it out, or you want to add a couple of bucks there to it, you've seen the desserts. They look pretty incredible. Make sure those bid sheets are taken care of. And again, the Eaton family and then the Pogue and Brock families will be starting our venture there to the tables, and then again I'll be getting everybody over to the cattle women there by table here momentarily. Now for the real treat of the night is Daniel Beard. I say that with the crack of a smile. Daniel Beard is a master of many things. Tonight he's always a Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame board member, stock contractor, cool dad, cool husband, cool community member. He's going to join us on stage here and just kind of talk about some of the accomplishments the Hall of Fame has had, some of the things that have worked really well for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Mr. Daniel Beard.
Thank you, John. Continue with dessert. We're not interrupting you guys' enjoyment of the evening at the moment, but more? There we go. All right. So I guess basically saying continue with dessert. If it's at your tables, like enjoy the evening for a little bit. We'll have our Native American dancers come up after I'm done, so I will not take too long. But I did want to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame and our activities. Some of it's just some information to tell you about some things that are coming up on our schedule, and then also just a thank you for the support for the Hall of Fame that we've had over the last number of years. I've been on the board for 3 years now, and it's been a great honor to work alongside the various members of the community in preserving the 101 years of the Ellensburg Rodeo and the stories that go along with that. All the different people, personalities, each individual, whether they're in the stands or contestants, contractors, everybody has their own part that they've contributed to the rodeo over the years, and it's our privilege to hear those stories and try to preserve them for everyone for years to come. So that's the mission of the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. Some of the activities that we'll talk about. A couple years ago, we partnered with the Ellensburg Rodeo to put up the arena record sign, and went through and updated last year the new record holder for the breakaway roping. So new records, we'll keep that updated as the years go by, and as the process goes on and new records are set. We will be continuing this year the Night at the Museum speaker series. The next one that's coming up is rodeo judges and pickup men. So if you want to come by the museum on that evening and listen to speakers just talking about rodeo, how it works behind the scenes, some of the people who participate in the Ellensburg Rodeo, that's the next of the speaker series. We are also coming up, we've done one movie night. So I don't know if we've done a great job of getting that message out, but we've actually at the Morgan Middle School taken the auditorium and we've done Rounders. So if you recognize that, comedy Western. The next one coming up September 26th, we'll be showing High Noon. And then in November, we'll be showing Rio Bravo. So I just think if you have a hard time, if you're flipped through Netflix over and over and over again, can't find something TV, you're like, what's on TV to watch? Just come down to the Morgan Theater, watch some old Westerns on the big screen with us. That's been really fun. So those have been some of the activities. We have the pint night that we did with the Whipsaw Brewery, and then we have a whiskey tasting night that's coming up. So look out for those tickets available. It's coming up this fall. And then I also wanted to talk about the history. Mike and Nate wrote the 100-year, the saddle booklet. So we did the saddle raffle last year. That article is going through the review process of being published through historic periodicals at the moment. So the work we do is historically geeked out for those of us that like the history stuff also. Like there's some cool things going on through the museum that way. And then also, I'll just talk about it. Nate Bradshaw teaches with me at Morgan Middle School, and he's not here this evening. He had to go to a wedding. But he and, with Mike's help, have stepped into the archives and done some very cool things over this last year. So we have actually kind of improved the clothing preservation, so clothing racks and facilities up in the archive. They partnered with these kids at Morgan Middle School, so cool partnership. They've actually made 12 a dozen saddle racks through the school that we're using to preserve the saddles up in the archive. So there's just some cool things that we're doing in the archive. And later on you'll hear more about that. But the Raise the Paddle tonight will be to fund some of the improvements that we're looking to make in the archive and the preservation of artifacts. So later on, just remember that if you are looking at what we're doing with the money, some of the things we're doing in the archive is the focus for tonight. And I think that's, am I forgetting anything? I think we're good. John, you want to come up and introduce our Native American dancers? Okay.
One thing that Daniel didn't mention about the movie night, that you'll get the prime best seat in the house if you dress up like Clint Eastwood on the High Noon. I haven't confirmed that with Daniel yet. I'm not even going to make eye contact with him when I say that. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that we like to do, I've said it a couple of times, is honor, preserve, and celebrate our history as a rodeo, and then just the history of the Kittitas Valley. Our friends here from the Yakima Nation are here. This is something that was, this is a gift of sorts, I guess I could say, from some of our stronger supporters. Don and Ann Buckland wanted to make sure that they helped us bring our friends from the Yakima Nation here tonight. So let me tell you a little bit about our friends at the Yakima Nation. Now tonight, their group is Amicay. And that's the Yakima Nation, or Yakima Native American Drum Circle and Dance Group. And Amicay, if you are looking at the verbiage, is Yakima spelled backwards, representing the Yakima Nation, a confederation of 14 individual tribes and bands of the Plateau Native Americans. This nation was formed from the 1855 treaty between Territorial Governor Isaac Stevens and select representatives from these tribes and bands. So Amicay was started by Gilbert One Penny, and this group has drummed and danced at the Ellensburg Rodeo since the 1960s, with many of the One Penny family members dancing, drumming, or both throughout the years. They will be performing traditional Plateau-style dances tonight, adorned in traditional Plateau dance regalia. And again, we are extremely honored that they took the time out of their daily lives and from their busy powwow schedules to be with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the Yakama Nation.
Good evening. My name is Gilbert One Penny, and I'm part of the Amicay. My grandfather is the one who founded the Amicay Singers way back when, and he's been coming to Ellensburg rodeo and performing like for over 80 plus years. So my family does this every year. We, from the eldest to the youngest, we perform and we develop a good friendship with community members that help out in the village, and we just want to give thanks, for allowing us to perform here tonight. We'll be singing for the women. We'll do a couple of verses of that for the women, and we got short fringe, that's our traditional style, plateau style. We got a jingle dress dancer and a fancy dancer. And then when we switch over to the men's, we have a grass dancer and a southern straight traditional and another grass dancer. So we hope you guys enjoy, and this is a real pleasure for us too. So. And this is our going to be our final song. It's we call it a circle dance, round dance. It's a friendship dance. So if you want to come join, you can come join and join hands and just bring peace. But yeah, if you want to come dance, you can come join. Following.
Let's all join hands, go round dancing around the world. Go round dancing around the world. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hi, ah, hey, 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 oh, hey, hey, ah, hey, 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 ah, hey, hey, ah, yeah, hey, ah, way, ah, hey, oh, ah, la, hey, 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 ah, way, oh, ah, la, hey, 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 way, ah, way, ah, ah, la, hey, 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 oh, hey, hey, ah, hey, hey, oh. Way, ah, yeah, way, ah, hey, ah, hey, ah, ah, hey, 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 ah, way, ah, la, hey, 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 way, ah, ah, la, hey, 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 oh. Hey, la, hey, way, ah, yeah, way, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, ah, la, hey, 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 ah, way, oh, ah, la, hey, 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 ah, way, ah, la, hey, 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 oh, hey, hey, ah, hey, hey, oh. Let's all join hands, go round dancing around the world. Go round dancing around the world. Way, ha, hey, ha, ha, la, hey, 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 oh, hey, 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 way, ya, ya, hey, ha,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause? As we continue the evening here, I want to introduce and bring up to the stage here another board member of Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. Mr. Mitch Truax is here. He's going to discuss kind of to partner or to piggyback off of what Daniel was saying about what we've been doing, and this is what we're going to do. Mitch, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. You know, one of the most important things that we do is preserve the history of rodeo. I've been in contact with a lot of the pro rodeo halls of fame around the country, and including Oklahoma, and they're very, very interested in what we're doing up here in the Northwest. And so we've been talking about some of the things that they're doing in the you know, the big show. You know, we're in the top 10 of rodeos in the nation, probably the world right now. And we all agree among the associations that we need to keep telling this rodeo story. And one of the most important things to do in telling that story is the preservation of artifacts. And as you know, we're in the Ramsey building here in Ellensburg, and it's not brand new. She's got a little age on her. And the artifacts that we have at the museum aren't everything that you see in the actual museum. A lot of the things that we have are upstairs in our archives. And Nate Bradshaw, who is one of our archivists under Mike's tutelage, couldn't be here tonight, but he did give me a little 3x5 card to look at and remind us what one of the things that we need to do is rely on all of you. As you well know, we are just your volunteers. It's your museum. We just are stewards of your museum. And as stewards, it's our obligation to let you know some of the things that we need. And in our archives, what we're realizing in communicating with some of the other museums around the United States and our own research is we need to do some things a little bit better than we've been doing upstairs. And we have been, if you've been to the fashion show, if you've looked in the museum at all, you see papers, posters, costumes. Those things need to be preserved in a very special way. And right now, we're working on climate control, humidification, dehumidification, and we need some supplies, and we need your help to get them. Acid-free storage papers for older posters, pictures. If you're not familiar with some of the ways that the older pictures are manufactured, certain types of acid, and if you've ever noticed in your own home, in your photo albums, some of your pictures are fading. They're not looking too good. But that's because of the acid in the papers and the way they're stored. So we need special stuff for museums, museum quality storage papers that we'd like to have. Clothing racks. We've been storing a lot of the costumes folded up in boxes, and I mean, don't you do that at home, right? We need special racks to hang some of these extremely valuable and rare artifacts as far as uniforms, clothing, costumes, and things like that. We could use a little help with saddle racks. Daniel mentioned that the kids are doing that. We need to help them out with some materials and some costs there. If you've ever seen those wire racks, fold-out racks, you see them at the rodeo. If you're competing, you've used them. That's not how you store a saddle, not over a period of time. And we've got some very, very rare saddles, and we need to have some special racks to store those so that they keep their shape and they don't, well, they get funky looking. Hat boxes. Who keeps their hat in a box at home? Anybody? I do. I keep this one in. Rich Rand made this for me. I keep this one in a box. So we like to keep those clean, keep their shapes, so that when it is time to rotate our artifacts in the museum from the archives, we can bring them out and they're still in great shape. As I already mentioned, the humidity control, we're working on some equipment to put upstairs in the archives that'll help us with temperature, humidity, and dehumidification. And if you ever notice that we have some pretty cool old posters and handbills and things like that that you just won't find anywhere else. We need special drawers. If you've ever been in an architect's office and you see the big drawers that they put the blueprints in, we need some of those. We also need to preserve some of the old newspapers. If you've ever been in the museum, and you probably should, if you haven't been, please go. Some old newspapers, and we have a lot of old newspapers that concern the rodeo and our inductees and the history of what we're doing. Those need to be preserved as well. So, what I'd like to ask everybody to do is to pry open that old wallet. We're going to do a little bidding right here. Right now, we have an anonymous donor for Raise the Paddle for these special causes at $2,500. So we're going to start the bidding. John, you want to come up at $2,500 and see what we can get to help keep us preserving this valuable history of the Ellensburg Rodeo.
So Mitch, you're going to help me look, right? You're going to help me spot.
Yeah, all right.
So as he mentioned, we're going to start the paddle raising at $2,500. If there's someone who has a paddle that they're going to raise at $2,500, I'm not sure if they were here tonight because we got their commitment. There we go. Thank you very much. How about 2,000? Do we have a sponsor for 2,000 here tonight? Number 40, number 40. Thank you very much. 40. Thank you, Henry. Moving on to 1,000. Do we have a paddle for 1,000? Looks like number 61. Thank you, Joel. Number 14. Thank you, Bucklands. Number 46. Thank you, McRae's. Thank you. Number 36 as well. Thank you. Thank you, Zora. Moving to 500. Moving to 500, we have number 17, Roylene, thank you. Do we see one, too? Moving to 250, 250, $250. Do we have a paddle for there? There we go, 62. Thank you very much. Thank you, Craig. Moving to 100. Oh, pardon me, 39. Carl, thank you very much. And 47. Thank you very much. 23. And 23. The Eaton family, thank you. Moving down to 100. We have number 30, number 11, number 78. Thank you. Number 73. Thank you, Brian. Number 2. Thanks, Mike. John, number 13. Number 20, thank you very much. Jamie, number 65. Number 12, thank you, Dave. Number 74, thank you. Number 15, thank you. Number 70 as well. Yes, sir. I can't even follow that one up, Dave. Number one. Yes, we will take check, cash, or card. Zora, whatever my number is. Me too. And we will wrap things up at $50. $50. Do we have any other paddles? Number 9, thank you. Number 33, thank you very much. She's getting it. It's going to be worth it, Judy. Thank you. Number 13, thank you. And number 16. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to compile that. You know, one of the things that this allows us to do is we talk about the preservation as well. But Joel, longtime board member, Joel Smith and Marie have helped us line up something that I think will open up the Rodeo Hall of Fame not only to our friends and family here tonight, but beyond our normal borders of the Kittitas Valley. So Cowboy Channel will be here next week. Obviously, they want to be here in Ellensburg because we're a heck of a rodeo, if I do say so myself. The Cowboy Channel will be broadcasting the Ellensburg Rodeo as they always do, and we're very proud of that, but also something that the Rodeo Hall of Fame, the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame, is sponsoring is a 6-part documentary series that the Cowboy Channel is putting together. And it's one of those things where, you know, we want to make sure we're marketing ourselves well, and not necessarily in the money aspect or anything like that, but we really want to make sure that we shine the light on Ellensburg as often as we can and as far reaching as we can as well. And so the Cowboy Channel, we're partnering up with the Cowboy Channel. So I know Ellensburg Rodeo Board of Directors and top hands that are going to put together a heck of a show, as they always do. And then I'm glad that the Rodeo Hall of Fame, the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame, can partner with the Cowboy Channel to really put something, what I think is going to be pretty darn cool, on the Cowboy Channel TV station as well. So let's get to the exciting part of the night. You know, we're here because I introduced our inductees at the beginning of the night, and we're going to invite each of them up to the podium here in just a minute. But I want to call attention and acknowledge and tip our hat and thank an inductee who left us about a month ago. Johnny Berkheimer, a name that is just synonymous with Ellensburg Rodeo, Kittitas Valley, the Western way of life. He passed on about a month ago, I believe. And I met him once or twice. I didn't know too much about him, but I knew him. And Johnny, he was thrilled to be a cowboy, right? I'm not quite sure when the family moved over from the west side of the state to here, but my friend Joel, who was longtime friends with Johnny for many years, said that that's all he wanted to be, was a cowboy. So when he was able to come over to Cowboy Town, it was like he was home. No disrespect to where he was born and raised in the first part of his life, but Ellensburg was his house. Ellensburg was his home. He was inducted twice into the Hall of Fame as a member of the county junior sheriff's posse and as a member of the Berkheimer family. The sheriff's posse was inducted in 2022. And the Berkheimer family was 2019, I believe, a couple of years prior to that. And he was beaming with pride, not for the attention, but he was just so thrilled that's another chapter in his life that he gets to share with the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame and the Ellensburg Rodeo. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we can give a round of applause for Johnny Berkheimer, who has always been a incredible supporter, continues to support Ellensburg Rodeo. He's here tonight. I know he is, so thank you. So let me talk about our first inductee tonight, Mr. Charles Pogue. And he's going to take the stage and hopefully just wow us with how great he was backing up in the box there in Ellensburg and everywhere else. But let me go over a couple of statistics for you. So Charles, he's a 4-time Ellensburg Rodeo header, 4-time buckle winner as a header. And Mike Allen and I were talking, this is unofficial, but I'm going to say Mike said that's official. To our knowledge, and I'm a rodeo nutcase, I absolutely love rodeo, but Mike will forget more about rodeo history than I'll ever know. But to our knowledge, Charles is the only one who has won 4 team roping buckles here at Ellensburg, which is something to tip your hat at. He won in 1987 with Brett Tanazzi, 1991 with Steve Northcutt, a few years later in 1994 with Bobby Harris, and then in 2005 he partnered with Dennis Gates to win his 4th buckle. And I've mentioned it before. Actually, that was when I was still reporting on the Ellensburg Rodeo, and I remember you were on horseback. You were probably trying to get to the sponsor section to earn your rewards or claim them, and I was like, no, we got to get on the paper here, Charles. I got to get your picture in the paper. So if I prevented him from going to the sponsor room, Carl, I'm sorry, but I needed him that day in 2005. And correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you'll talk about it a little bit, but I'm assuming those wins might have been on Scooter, I believe, or Cowboy. And Scooter was a 6-time AQHA head horse of the year. An amazing horse, a dominant horse. And one thing that Charles said to me when we were talking off and on, I would randomly text him or call him, and he said something about just working hard and perfecting craft. And he said something, and I think I quoted him in one of our stories of, no matter how good you're at, you get good. No matter how good you are, there's always room to improve, which is a very committed, like I said, he's committed to his craft, but he was good. Let me tell you a little bit about it. In addition to his 4 wins here, he placed and won everywhere, and that's why he made it to the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo. I believe it was 15 times, Charles. 15-time NFR qualifier. He won the average twice at the NFR. The NFR average twice. He was the best of the best there. And anybody who understands team roping, there's a lot of money to be made on the road, but there's also a lot of money to be made in jackpots. And anybody that understands team roping would understand the 3 letters BFI, Bob Feist Invitational. And I believe you won that 3 times. And locally here, he competed in the West Star Best of the Best. And I don't think Scott and Joe Rep are here to confirm this, but I don't think you won the Best of the Best, but he picked up a couple of checks. But I'm just going to say he won it 3 or 4 times because Scott Rep can't tell me I'm wrong. So we talked a little bit about history of the rodeo and what's changed in Ellensburg and what's changed in Oklahoma and everywhere in between. And, scores are different, backing up in the box is different, arena sizes change and everything like that. Maybe rodeos are made for TV a little bit more to be quicker and stuff. But he also talked about how horses change as well, and maybe they're a little bit, they're ready to be in the arena, they're ready to be competitive a little bit earlier on than they were in the 80s or 90s and stuff. And that kind of goes into what he's doing now. So maybe he's not in Ellensburg or Pendleton or Cheyenne anymore, but he's perfecting his trade as a horse trainer. Maybe he's training the next Scooter or the next Cowboy for another Cowboy. So one more story here, and I'm sorry I'm dominating your time, Charles, but one more story is when the first or second time I called you, I was like, hey, we want to welcome you into the Rodeo Hall of Fame. What are you doing on August 23rd and 24th? And he said, let me check my schedule. Let me see what softball games are playing. So he is a softball dad. And that resonates with me because I have a softball playing daughter as well. And we talked more about softball, I think, more about dads of daughters than we did about rodeo. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the stage his wife, Londa, here with him as well, Mr. Charles Pogue. Picture in the, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot. I think John about covered everything. Thank you, though. No, I'd just like to start off tonight by thanking the committee for selecting me to this. It's really an honor, and I can't tell you how excited I was when I got the call. And I wasn't just wanting to go watch softball. I actually helped coach her team, her travel team. So yeah, I had a little better excuse, but I did have to make sure that I could clear that. I was aware of the Hall of Fame here at Ellensburg a little bit, and I knew I'd had some luck here in the past, but I didn't know if I'd be able to get in or not because I knew there was a lot of great competitors that I would be up against. So I had hoped one time though that I would get a call and get in there. So I know there are many other great people, and I just thank you for selecting me to this year's class. And John sent us an email a few weeks ago or whatever with an itinerary kind of explaining how things would go here. Told us we'd be giving an acceptance speech, and he said they usually averaged about 10 minutes or so. So he said, but last year Justin McKee spoke for like 35 minutes. He just threw that in, And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I wasn't selected last year and have to follow Justin up here, and I was this year. I'd be like, oh, let's go watch Charles hit golf balls with Scotty Scheffler. I'm just not going to look. That's not going to look too good. So, anyway, I'm definitely not a great public speaker, but I'm glad Justin didn't speak before I did. So, when I started thinking about who all to thank, any time we accomplish something, I think there's more than just us. There's a lot of people that help us out along the way, and so the word would be gratitude that I felt when I started thinking about it, and the people when you're traveling and stuff, just the people that if I broke down, that was willing to help me, and with a truck or trailer, Dave, we know what it's like. It can be tough out there a lot of times, or if I just needed to put my horse up for the night and spend the night, or even rope a few practice steers and get my roping back on track. There's just I couldn't even start to name the people, and some of them actually live right here in this town that've been real hospitable and just help. So for anyone that's helped me out, or even other cowboys out, just big thank you, because it's a tough road, not easy to make that work sometimes. And then I'd also like to give a big thanks to my parents, like my dad for spending all the time teaching me to rope, teaching me horsemanship, hauling me to rodeos and jackpots all around over the years when I was younger. I didn't realize it at the time, but he was also teaching me a lot about work ethic. And I'd come home after football, basketball, baseball practice, whatever, and usually rope like 30 to 40 steers a night. And so a lot of my buddies would be uptown, running around, just hanging out. And there was times I would like to just been with them, but he taught me that I had to put the work in if I was going to have a chance to win and stuff. And so he pushed me during this time. He didn't ever make me do anything, but he would give me that nudge that I needed to kind of put the work in. And I learned that then. And when I got older, I think it carried over, because I knew I wasn't always going to win all the time, and I had to learn to deal with that, deal with some failure. But I didn't want it to be because I didn't prepare well enough, or I didn't put the work in. Because I believe in whatever we're doing, like when we go compete at a rodeo or we do other things, it's a reflection of our preparation. And if unless we're just nervous about what we're doing and not experienced yet, but I think if we're not doing well, we need to change something in our preparation, is the way I always felt about that. So I'm real thankful. And I also think it's good for the kids to learn work ethic at a young age. I'm just thankful that he spent the time and taught me that at that time of life. So, and then thanks to my mom, she was always there to care and nurture when things didn't go so well. I could miss 4 or 5 in a row, and she'd tell me how good I did. She's just always there to pat you on the back and help you out, and I'm thankful for all her prayers that kept us safe in our travels. My faith was always very important to me, and Mom, she just did a good job of getting us in church, and she just kind of reminded us of what things were really important, and how some things aren't as important as we think they are a lot of times. So I sure didn't grow up rich, but somehow they found a way to help me get started with roping and in life. So I really appreciate that from them. And then I want to give a special thank you to my wife, Londa. We made a lot of miles together. She traveled with me and made things so much easier. When you're rodeoing, there's so much horse care. There's travel, getting all your travel lined up. There's just a lot goes on behind the scenes, and you're having to do this anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks out in front. So she would just take such a load off me that it let me really focus on my roping. And like Dave and I've talked about, sometimes it was just a relief to get there and rope, just, from everything you go through to get there and the things that can happen. So she'll never know how much I appreciate her and what she means to me. And she just gave so much of herself to help me out there. And whatever success I had, I couldn't have done without her help, for sure. And some of my most enjoyable memories of rodeoing was when she and my older daughter, Rayleigh, were traveling with me. So she's definitely been the best wife I've ever had, for sure. We have 2 daughters, and they're both really into sports, mainly softball. The older, Rayleigh, she played at the University of Oklahoma, got to be part of 2 national championships. She graduated with a degree in biology, and she's been accepted to go to PA school starting in January. And then, thank you. Yeah, so she's doing good. So our younger one is Kinsley. She's a sophomore in high school, and she's been playing school ball as we speak today. So she's been busy with that and doing her own things, but she also likes the ball, and we couldn't be prouder of both our girls. So when I started thinking about this and thinking about what made Ellensburg such a special place, I think one thing was because I won it the first time I was here. That probably helped. So I got off on a good start there, but also it's just like we've seen since we've been here, and I'd noticed just the way the community gets behind the rodeo here helps a lot too. You just don't see that everywhere. You guys have a special thing here where everyone comes together and from the whole community and whole area to get behind this, and that's pretty neat because, like I said, we go to a lot of places and you don't see that a lot. That's kind of unusual. I think another thing that made it special for me is we would go to the winter rodeos, like in Texas usually, and in the spring we would go to California a lot of the times. And so, yeah, you're busy, but you're kind of easing around. And then about the 3rd week of June, we would go to Reno for the BFI and the Reno Rodeo. And to me, that's where it's like the summer run starts and it's showtime. When we would leave there and go like to Greeley, Colorado, Cody, Wyoming, St. Paul, Malala, Oregon. And I mean, from there through August, I mean, you're getting, back and forth to Cheyenne and Salinas through there. And it's just like a mad pace nonstop all summer for a couple of months or whatever. Or that's what it always felt like to me when I thought about it. And then it seemed like by the time we made it up here for this time of year and the rodeo up here, it was our chance to kind of get to slow down and just and catch our breath a little bit. And that allowed us to go to visit the restaurants a little bit, go to the feed store, and see some of the people and actually get to hang out a little. So it made that. That's one of the reasons it was enjoyable. I like the mountainous this part of the country and everything too, but I think just to get to chill here a little bit and relax. And we didn't get to stay all summer. You don't get to stay. You'll rope somewhere as soon as you're done. You're usually gone to the next place. So you're there for a couple hours and you're out. And it was neat to get to hang out a little bit there. So I want to tell one story about as much as I love Ellenburg, I did have one bad trip here. And I'm sure I missed a few steers and all that. But I had one trip where we was here at Ellensburg. Obviously, I probably needed to win a little bit more money because we entered Pueblo. So we was here. We go to Seattle, fly to Colorado Springs, and we compete at Pueblo one night. Well, the next morning, I'm up in the slack at Ellensburg. So as soon as we were up at Pueblo, back to Colorado Springs, fly back to Seattle, jump in the truck, drive to Ellensburg, and get in there about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning before the slack started, and we stop in there. They was ending the run on all the cattle kind of, so we wanted to make sure we didn't have a steer drawn. If we didn't have one drawn in this first little section, it would be a long time before we was at. Well, we checked with the secretary and look at everything. It looks like, you know, we should be fine, that it's going to be a while. So we had our horses on the outside of town, and we went to pick them up. Everybody jumped, took a shower, you know, just try to freshen up. We had been up, you know, for 2 days, hadn't slept on the plane or whatever. So we go back to the rodeo, and we're pulling in there, and there's some of my buddies like, "Where was you at?" And I'm like, "What? You had the last year drawn. You just turned out." Like, oh, I mean, you know, but that's just that was my one bad experience here. But I thought about it. I'm like, you know, that's just life. Sometimes we do everything all we can do, and things just don't go our way. But I think that's times we just have to keep pressing forward and keep doing things the right way, and good things will eventually happen for us. So I just thought I would, even though that's not a real positive story, I thought I'd throw that in. And so just to close things out, I'd just like to just thank the good Lord above for keeping us safe and all the blessings, and for all the great people we met along the way. So thank you.
I'm not sure what year that was, but I've got the president and former president here if they want to make it right with you, okay? Let me introduce our next inductee. Mr. Dave Brock is here tonight. Let me go over a little bit of his resume, if you will. He's a 5-time Ellensburg Rodeo buckle winner. He won the steer wrestling in 1980 and 1981. In 77 and then in 86, he won the wild cow milking, which in the story that the Hall of Fame wrote, the wild cow milking is equal laughter and equal applause. And it's actually a coveted buckle here. I'm not sure about other rodeos, but it pays. There's a buckle. There's always about 17 different stories that might get larger and larger in terms of the embellishment as years go. And then in 1973, he started it off winning the all-around here at Ellensburg. I checked, and if I'm wrong, this is Mike Allen's math, not me, but you won $1,271 to win the all-around this year, or pardon me, in 1973. So 73 was the first year that Dave had visited Ellensburg, and but you weren't new to the spotlight. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you had won 2 all-around titles at the college national finals as well. And you mentioned Pueblo. I believe you went to school there in Colorado. He won the PRCA's Rookie of the Year in 1973, the same year he won Ellensburg's all-around title. So something was working for him as soon as he splashed onto the scene. But there was longevity in his resume here at Ellensburg, and then of course nationally as well. Dave made the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo, 10 times. He made the NFR 3 times as a bulldogger, as a steer wrestler, and 7 times as a calf roper, and he won it all in 1978. And he was saying in one of our many calls, I mean, I would call Charles, I would call Dave, and like it or not, we became best friends for the both of them. The calf roping, he said, came more naturally to him, but he liked the steer wrestling more, if I remember you saying. But it definitely, he said it wasn't because it was easy for him, and I think we quoted you saying when you started steer wrestling, you could ride half the steers rather than wrestle them to the ground, which I thought was pretty funny. But you made it look easy in 1980, and you made it look easy in 81. You won the event 2 years in a row with a 9.9 second average. Both years you have identical average times. And I'm not sure what year it was that you won the wild cow milking. I think you won it with Johnny Sloan 1 year here in 77 or 86. And I don't think Johnny's here to defend himself, but we'll credit you with carrying the team that year. So, yeah. We talked about the changes to rodeo, the shorter the score, more money, and the athleticism of today's competitor compared to in the 70s and 80s and 90s, where there was plenty of athletes when our inductees competed, but the perfection to the craft is pretty amazing in terms of the way these arena athletes continue to perfect themselves, not only in the arena, but just in the way they treat their body as well. And so I asked him about that. I was like, what do you think about that? And he said, and I quote, hell, I'm 73 and I still rope all the time. Nothing's changed. I'm just getting a little bit older. So I expect you to back up in the box in Wednesday morning slack. Again, the president can let you in there. Last night, he was showing us a picture. I'm not sure if it's up there or not. And you could see him, I think it was at Fort Worth, tying his calf. And he looked pretty dang athletic, maybe a little bit younger. And I was like, Dave, can you still do that? And without hesitation, and pardon me, but he said, damn straight I can. So with his wife, Denny, at his side tonight, join me in welcoming to the stage 5-time buckle winner, Dave Brock.
Good evening. It's been an exciting time for me. As he called out loud and clear, I'm 73 now, and I've always wanted the Indian dance, and I finally got it done tonight. And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. You know, there's a lot that we could say. Charlie did a super job of summing up a lot of how the real life is out here. I thank the Ellensburg Rodeo Committee in considering me for this honor, and very thankful and grateful for it. Tom Ferguson told me one time, said, don't ever expect anything, then you won't be disappointed. So I've never really expected it, but I'm grateful that I have been acknowledged in this area, because I always liked it up here a lot. So anyway, it's a good deal. I want to kind of loosen up here a little bit, so I thought I'd tell you a story about my first roping experience with livestock. I was a very young man, probably 4 or 5 years old, but I always carried a rope, one of them little white cotton ropes around. I roped everything. I roped buckets and posts and anything but it wasn't livestock. And I'll build you a little picture here. I grew up on Main Street in Goodland, Kansas. It's right next to the business district. And we were 3 houses down. And it was the Brock house, and it was Mrs. Jones' house, and it was Mrs. Teeter's house. Well, on the back side of the block, down the middle, there's an alleyway. You know, you've seen them that way. And in this alleyway, everybody's got a trash can back then, a 55-gallon barrel that we burned our trash in. That's just the way it was. So Miss Teeters had one, and one across the road, or across the alley had one. Mrs. Jones had one, and then this party over here had one, and then we had one. Well, Mrs. Teeters just happened to have a great big, I can't even think the name of the daggum dog now. Name a big dog, police dog type. German Shepherd. She had a German Shepherd, and she loved that dog. Oh, Miss Teeters loved that dog now. But every morning she'd let that dog out, and I got kind of acknowledged. He'd start down the alley, and he'd stop at the first barrel and kind of make his point there. He'd ease over to this barrel and make his point, back over to Mrs. Jones's and back over there, and then he kind of got there. I got a plan. I'll get me some livestock here now. So I took that cotton rope and I tied it to a belt loop right there. And I was so little, I could just kind of do this right here. That dog couldn't see me there, you know. So I sees him coming down the alley, making these little places as he marks on, as he came down the alley. So I'm ready for this rascal, you know. So he comes up there to our barrel, and he starts to lift his leg, and I stepped up there, and I stuck that dadgum dog, boy, and he finally just took off down that alley. He hit that rope and drug me down, and it drug me down that damn alley. I'm going down that alley like that. Right when he goes to make the corner, my belt loop broke. The only thing that saved me. So I eased back to, I was living with my grandmother, Gladys. And so I eased back to the house, kind of brushing myself off and trying to look natural. And I kind of went in the house and got me a glass of water. And she's sitting over there, and she had her glasses on. She's real quiet and everything. She finally looked over them glasses and said, Miss Teeter says, if you want that rope back, you better come get it. So down I went, knocked on the door, and she gave me the rope back. She gave me one of these talking tos about, you know, you don't be doing this and don't be doing that. So that was my first head of livestock I ever rode. You know, I was more of a northern guy, and I've eventually, after college, I kind of moved to Texas. I was 19, 20 years old, maybe 21, didn't know jack and thought I knew it all. And got my permit and started going to a few rodeos down in Texas. And anybody that knows Sonny Sykes or Dan Taylor or any of them boys, they always had their test.
That was part of the act.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm down there in Texas, and I'm scared to death because that's Big Dan Taylor. This is Sonny Sykes, and they're both in. But there was a lot of individuals that's God dang, that's how they had their hat. And finally, one time, I got brave enough to ask Dan Taylor at one of them rodeos. We was kind of off by ourselves over there, and I said, Mr. Dan, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah, Brock, go ahead and ask me. And I said, well, Mr. Taylor, I'm kind of curious about y'all, and how come y'all got your hats rolled up all the time? He said, well, let me tell you, son. He's looking down at me, you know. I wasn't very big. He said, let me tell you. He said, well, I went to Fort Worth, and I entered Fort Worth, and they drawed the calves. And so I walked down through the arena, you know, to look at my calf. And I looked over there in that pen. They had some big old bramers, and they had humps sticking up in their deal. They'd hit you about chest high. They had horns on them about that long. He said, I'd step back and say, holy crap. Anyway, I had a lot of good times, a lot of good experiences, and it's been a wonderful life. And one more story. I'm on a roll. I got done rodeoing in about 92. I was sitting pretty good that year. I don't know, I was in the 20s as far as standings go, but I got to figuring there wasn't enough rodeos left to win what I thought it would take to get in the top 15, so I went home. And a lot, it was time. I'd rodeoed a long time and accomplished a lot, and I'd ready to be home, my wife and kids and all that. So off I went, and I got home, and, well, I got to go to work. So I had a neighbor over there named Pete Green, and he worked for a telemarketing firm. GTE Market Resources was the name of it. So he set me up in the interview, and I didn't have a suit or anything like that, so he lent me a suit, and he's a big man, similar to Charlie, or John over here. He said, here, take that. So Denny and I, we got the daggum safety pins out. We had that thing kind of hemmed up a little bit so I could go for my interview, you know. It's a professional atmosphere, suit and tie, blah, blah, blah. So I needed to get me some shoes. Okay. So we went to not the cheapest store, but average price store. And so we went in there and I tried on some shoes. I didn't like these, so I tried them. But I finally found a pair. And I told the salesman, he said, yeah, these feel good. They'll be good. You know, they were pretty damn nice, you know. So she gave me a box. She didn't give me the ones I tried on. She gave me the ones in this box. Same size, same style, same color, all this. So I'm set. So I start over at GTE and I get through the interview. Of course, they'd hire anybody. But if you could breathe, I mean, that's how they went by it over there. But it was good. It was a good experience. But I started, and then the first 2 weeks was training at $4.25 an hour. You ever try to raise a wife and 2 kids at $4.25 an hour? It was pretty tough, but we hung in there. But about 4 or 5 days later, these damn shoes are hurting my feet. Something's not right with them, you know. So I'd look at them and look inside and everything, and couldn't find nothing wrong with them. So I'd wear them. Dadgum, they kept hurting my feet, and I come home complaining about it. I finally took it off, and when I first got them, you know, they got that white wrapped up they stuffed down in the toes. Well, I took that out. I was okay there. But have you ever noticed there's a piece of cardboard that goes down through there too? So anyway, we finally figured out there's some cardboard in there, and that was hurting my damn feet. So anyway, that's my story on GTE. I don't tell many people that, and if you tell anybody, I'll be disappointed in you. Let's see where I'm at. You know, rodeo, it's really a hard life. It's a rewarding life. You'll deal with everything, every emotion humanly possible, and like that. And you make some mistakes along the way, and you overcome the things that go bad, and you just do the best you can and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And anyway, we made it, and like that. And you know, I have a different attitude about the whole deal now that I'm much older, but in reality, excuse me, in reality, it's a privilege. It's a damn privilege to get to do what we've done. You see a lot of kids or individuals that I think take it for granted. And you think, I see a lot of that in our culture today. Kids complain about school and not being able to do this and not being able to do that. It's a privilege to get to go to school. I mean, in reality, it is. You got an opportunity to get smarter and do good and like that. But rodeo, I consider it to be a privilege. And Charlie there, or Charles, he talked about winning, you know, and I look at winning, and it's kind of like the football quarterback. He's the one that always gets the headlines and the pictures and everything, but they never mention that other 10 guys that blocked for him, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like that in rodeo. We have people that have helped us from day one, turn out stock, loan you horses, and the list goes on and on and on about individuals that helped you in some way, shape, or form. It could be as much as a guy in the back of the chutes loading the calf, and he got it wrong, but he told you, hey, I got this wrong. You're going to be a second, and we'll get this right. But it's just unlimited, the help that you got from people. You know, and I can't stress that enough. You know, I had a lot of good people I was around. I think most of you were acquainted with H.L. or Harry Todd. He was probably my first mentor. He used to come up here and trip all the time. Fine man. It was good to me. He took me under his wing. I was roping. I had an old horse we give $500 or $600 for. My dad thought he was a nice horse, and and he was until you roped on him. But anyway, I was over there. I had him over there at Harry's one time, and we were roping, and he'd get mad on you and just freeze up and take off. Anyway, I went by this calf, and he went back into Harry's arena, and he jumped the fence, and I bailed off. He jumped another fence and run down the road. We finally went and caught him. Harry said, well, I don't think we want to use him anymore over here. Okay, Harry, okay. But Harry did me a lot. Clark Brown, North Platte, Nebraska. Paul Tierney and I roped together a lot. We'd go there during Thanksgiving. Clark would buy us a fresh set of Herefords, and we'd practice. We would rope, and we'd rope. And at the end of the day, he had 10 head that Paul and I, we'd match every day on. And him and Dorothy, and it just done so much for me. Jim Reamer, actually, I bought the horse from Jim Reamer. I don't know, he was 18, 19 years old, I think, when I bought him. Gave $5,800 for him, and everybody thought I was crazy. I wasn't sure myself after listening to all of them, but his name was Big Mac. I called him Big Mac after McDonald's. He wasn't very big. He was kind of but the thing he did good, he was a winner. You know, he lacked some of this and a little bit of that, but that some buck knew how to get the paychecks. But that's the horse I won the world on, and he ended up being the horse of the year that year. So I've had some good things come through my way for whatever reason, you know. But Barry Burke, one of the greatest men. You know, I wasn't going to do this either. A bunch of guys that helped me so much. There's Tom Ferguson, Barry Burke, Jimmy Cooper, Chris Lieber, Junior Garrison, Willer Moody, Dee Pickett, and Mike Pierce. You know, I think a lot of times we go through life and forget to say thank you or I love you. But anyway, that was number 3. See where we're at. Oh, here's number 4. You know, I've been able to have opportunities to be able to win here and win there and accomplish this and all that, but I think about I'll see a belt buckle or something. Every buckle or every trophy or ribbon or whatever you want, you know, there's always a story behind it, a memory that people you shared it with. And like up in this country, there's a lot of people I got to be around that was really good. And I think of them often. Pat Nogle, Darrell Sewell, Clark Boatwright, Dave Cannon, Brad Goodridge, Buzz Path, Jerry Anderson, Ken Frazier, Sam Geiser, Donnie Undell, Jack Wallace, Johnny Sloan, Adrian Carlson. And I know there's more, but I just couldn't think of them. That's number 4. Let's go to 5. Here we go. I wanted to talk a little bit about winning, and a lot of this stuff I used, and I think we can use it in life in general. And like that, you know, you got to be around winners. You got to be around winner-type people to be successful. And that goes along in business. Anything you do, if you're around them kind of people, you'll be successful. Hard work, which Charles talked about a lot, and I thought that was just great. Be able to learn from your mistakes and not swell up and feel sorry for yourself, because you're going to make some mistakes. Turn them around, make them work for you. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I believe in gravity of attraction. And that's where you think about something long enough that it finally comes your way. I really believe in it. Because one year I rodeoed Jerry Chaton, or he rodeoed me. He's riding my horse Rancho. He's in the lead for the world. He won $26,000 on that horse, following me around and riding my horse. But that guy, at noon, he could tell you what calf he was going to have. And I'll kiss your rear if he didn't have that sunbuck. And to me, that's gravity of attraction. The other thing is, if you ever watch the athletes today, and two I'm going to point out to you. One was the Kentucky Derby, and the other one is a lot of the Olympics, if you watch the Olympics and like that. But if you listen to their interviews to them, they talked about it, about dreaming about it. They've dreamt this. You know, they can't believe it happened, but just like the Kentucky, you said, boy, when I was a kid, I dreamed about it, and I dreamed about it. And that's something we use in life, in all aspects of our travel and what we do and how we do it and all that. So it works for me. I'm sharing it with you. And if it works for you, great. But I always told my kids when we put them in bed, they'd be ready to go to a rodeo or something. They're excited, and they got their clothes laid out and all that stuff. And when I put them to sleep, I said, well, dream about winning now. Dream about winning. And my kids were, I'd say, pretty successful. That was number 5. Number 6. You know, I'm going to talk a lot about Ellensburg Rodeo, 1973. I didn't know 2 hoots about coming up in the Northwest or anything. I heard they had some good rodeos up here and everything, and I didn't have a horse. I didn't drive up or anything. I grabbed a rope can and a bag of clothes, and I flew to Kalispell, Montana, and I hitchhiked down to Salmon, Idaho. About 100 miles of the crookedest dadgum road I ever been on. And we got done there at Salmon, and I hitched a ride over here to Ellensburg, and it was so refreshing. I remember the first time I walked in the arena, it was like a shrine to me. And the thing about that arena it did for me, it made me compete above probably my talent, and like that. It did something about it that was always good to me. Ellensburg was. As far as the rodeo goes, you know, you guys always had good stock. The calves were great. I'll never forget the mornings that we'd get up and go over there to slack, and they'd bring them calves up, and them sunbucks have milk all over their noses, you know, and they cows were cut off, and they were numbered, and they were going to use them in the milk. And it was just amazing to me. The boxes were 20 foot long. The score was out there. There wasn't no nanny whamming or anything like that. It kind of brought the horsemanship and the real cowboy out in you. And like that. And you know, through the years, you know, the committee, everybody involved in the rodeo, you did your best job to have good rough stock for the boys, which was great. We had good calves and good steers. And it was just such a pleasure, refreshing to come up here to where you felt like you had a good opportunity. And I wouldn't change much. I wouldn't change much. I watched it on TV even. It's still the same. The barrier's shorter and the chute's out front for whatever reason, but that's a personal deal. Anyway, and the other thing, you know, during the rodeo, you know, you'd get out there at the edge of the arena and kind of look around and everything. And there was every culture of humans there was. They were every different races, everybody's all up there. And they were all having fun. and you give a show to people that might have had a tough life, and you fulfill some enjoyment to them for a period of time. And that's what it's all about, folks. We're just passing through anyway. If you stop and think about it, we're just passing through. Let's see, where are we at? All right, I got that one down. Now, number 7. This is the last one, folks. Last one. Life is so seasonal. In our lives, when we were born, we had a season, and as you get older, another season, and then you get to that last season. But, we should enjoy every season, make the effort, and it's great. Time's our most precious thing that we have. And so it's important to us to use it to the best of our ability. I think of a time, the window. A window of time is what I call it. I made this up myself. The window of time. You got a window here, and when you're born, it's here. And every day, every year, it clicks, 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 clicks. And what you do in that period of time is so important. And if there are times when I started up doing rodeo and I can't do this, can't do that. And if you look around, there's more to do now than there was before. We got to get up out of that recliner, and that reminds me, that's my last line by Toby Keith. Don't let the old man in. Thank you.
Dave, thank you very much. One thing I forgot to mention, and I apologize for not mentioning this, talk about winning. Anybody who knows Ellensburg remembers that Ellensburg was a part of the Big Four. And in 1986, Dave won the Big Four, which was the top money winner between Walla Walla, Lewiston, Pendleton, and the Ellensburg Rodeo. And he showed me that buckle last night. It's a pretty dang cool buckle. So we have one more family to induct here tonight, and I'm going to introduce brothers John and Robert here in just a moment, but these gentlemen are 2 members of a family that have made Ellensburg and the Kittitas Valley their home for 4 generations. And marriages might change the last names as kids, grandkids, great-grandkids grow, but the Eatons not only provided timed event stock to Ellensburg for years, but the family still touches the Ellensburg Rodeo, and it continues to as we work on our 5th and 6th generation. But let me go back one more generation here, and I was talking with Robert about this last night, of Bill and Hazel Eaton, who I believe it was Plummer, Idaho. They partnered with their son, Jack, and his wonderful wife, Benita. Where's Grandma? Is she? Hi, Grandma. Who later bought property in the Yakima Canyon in the late 1940s and then established their Mount Baldy Ranch in the canyon in 1951. So that's 100 acres, give or take, in between the Yakima Canyon Road and Interstate 82. And Jack and Benita raised 5 kids, John, Kenneth, Catherine, Robert, and Sherilyn, and all had a hand in raising cattle, taking care of daily chores around the property, and probably had a thing or two to do with hauling cattle to the Ellensburg Rodeo as well. Last night, and I say it with love, Grandma and I were talking about allergies and raising kids and moving cattle and moving homes, and I think, Robert, we were talking about Interstate 82 kind of making the family change things. So no matter what life has thrown, whether it's allergies or the government paving I-82, the Eatons were always there. So around the early 60s is when the family started bringing cattle to the rodeo, focusing on calves for cap roping and cows for the wild cow milking. Dave, it was probably their cows that you won the wild cow milking on in 77 and 86, and probably many of us have a picture or two or a story or three stemming from the annual Eaton family cattle drive there in the canyon up the road in the late winter. It's one of my first memories of Ellensburg, actually, in 96 when I came here, of why couldn't I drive down the canyon, because I don't like driving 82. And I definitely yielded to the cattle there, definitely. But it's a modern, I think, Mike, in your story, you said it was a modern tie-in to the storied days of open range cattle drives. You know, it joins family and neighbors and community members, you know, getting cattle from ranges to ranch pastures. And today, my friends at the Stingley family, a couple of them are here, carry on that tradition with the Eatons. So the family is a proud member of the Kittitas County Cattlemen's Association. Jack and Robert earned the 2004 Cattleman of the Year honor. And in 2016, I actually remembered this, Grandma. I remember this. The Ellensburg Rodeo dedicated one of its performances to the Eaton family to honor their decades of service, which I believe was your 70th wedding anniversary that weekend, maybe that day. I can't quite remember the specific dates. 70 years celebrated in the Ellensburg Rodeo Arena, which to me is incredibly romantic. So to spend it with 9,000 of your closest friends. Jack is here with us in spirit tonight, and I'm honored to tip my hat to Grandma Benita. In addition to their 5 children raised at Mount Baldy, the Eatons boast 12 grandchildren, 26 great grandkids as well, and we're going to honor them tonight. So join me in welcoming brothers John and Robert Eaton to the stage. Congratulations.
This is going to be a little shorter, but I thank the committee for nominating our family. It's a real honor to do this. The only thing that I noticed in John's introduction was the 100 acres between the canyon, and there's many 100 acres between the canyon, runs from the canyon highway to the freeway. And then we used to run out in the military ground too on the other side, close to the Columbia, or the breaks to the Columbia River. So lots of country. Some of the pictures that were going here on the, you saw some calves being roped with the white faces, and those are definitely our calves that came to the rodeo each year. And it was a real challenge to pick a uniform group of calves, and we always tried to do that. And Ken McCrae and the rest of the family spent a lot of time, Buck Miner. And had one story about the little miner boys. The ones that were doing so well in the rodeo, they came and they were sitting on the horse, and they stuck up a little higher than the saddle horn, but they were really short, and they were swirling ropes. And so they've gone through the rodeo season and watched them grow up. But we picked those calves with their help. I remember doing that. So it was a real honor for us, and I'll let Bob fill us in on some more.
I also want to just thank you on behalf of the Eaton family for this incredible honor. And we think back of the special time it was at the Ellensburg Rodeo, just having our livestock to be involved. And There was a lot of great memories. Our family purchased a ranch here in the valley 75 years ago in 1949. And it's truly been a family operation, as was said, consisting of 4 generations of Eatons, all having a part in working on the ranch. And there's my grandparents and my folks, then our generation, and then our kids have all been a part of carrying on the ranch operation. Let's see. The animals, like John was saying, were selected. We ran, at that time, approximately 1,200 head of cows, and so there was roughly 1,200 calves and stuff, and so they had a large pool to where they could go ahead and pick the amount of calves that they needed for the rodeo. And it was exciting. We hauled the cattle into the rodeo grounds, and Ken McRae and Buck Miner were there to receive them and everything, and they processed the cattle. But I think back about the excitement of the time, just having our livestock in the rodeo and everything, and I think we probably rooted more for the livestock than we did for the cowboys. But the calf roping, it was always exciting to see the calves head out across the arena and give the cowboys and the horses a challenge to catch them and get them down. And then when they were talking about the wild cow milking, it was fun to see the cows drag them around the arena, and they're trying to get that one squirt of milk into that pop bottle, and then to run like crazy to get to the judge. And most of the time, or part of the time, they'd forget to put their thumb over the bottle top, and they'd get there and the judge would hold it upside down and there'd be no milk and everything. But it was just a great time to be involved. A lot of really incredible memories, and a lot of good friends that we were associated with here in the Valley. And again, thank you so much for this honor. And also
One more story. So when I went hunting for a wife at a young age, there in Denver one time, I met a beautiful young gal in the bar, and didn't have much to do with me, but she gave me her phone number and everything. And she was going to the University of Wyoming, Laramie, and I was going to Casper. And after about 32 calls, she finally said she'd go out with me. I didn't have a very good record out there on the streets, but anyway, so I drive down there to Laramie to pick her out. She was living in the dorm, about third floor. And I pull up there to the front and go looking around. I'm lost. So I go in the dorm, and I can't see no elevators or nothing. So I figure there's a set of stairs there. I'll just walk up them stairs to the third floor. Well, about that second floor, I hear some footsteps are coming down. And I think she was trying to sneak out of the deal. Anyway, we met up on the stairs right there. She was sneaking out the back on me is what she was doing. But anyway, after 48 years, we've had a good life. She's done it all. She can do it all. We couldn't do it without her, between me and the kids. And she's been a real blessing to our family. So, thanks.
Would you like to? I can bring the microphone.
Thanks.
The success of our family with the rodeo people has been great. And they make half of that a special story for our family. It was fun to be a part of helping them by letting them use the stock and to have the friendship, many of them already gone. That was half of our success right there. And we appreciate each one of them, and we thank you for allowing us this privilege. And Jack and I just was short of 75 years together before he passed away. But I want to thank the whole group in Ellensburg. We had friends that no one else could ever look back to that gave us the privilege of living in Ellensburg with a real appreciation of it all.
John and Bob, I think you got one up. There's no way I can follow that up with except by saying, I just really appreciate everybody coming tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed dinner. I believe we have extras if you want to purchase some extra meat to take home for leftovers tonight or tomorrow or anything like that. And again, I just want to say congratulations and thank you very much to the inductees who are even here locally. The family traveled from out of town, our inductees that needed planes, trains, and automobiles to get here, Dave and Charles. But once again, congratulations to the Eatons, the Pogues, and the Brocks as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I just really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you at Slack on Wednesday morning.